There are habits that silently destroy the respect people have for you, faster than any words or wrong decisions. It's not because you are a bad person nor because you do it intentionally, but because you are repeating actions that make others no longer look at you the same way. The most frightening thing is, you often don't even realize it's happening. You think you are just reacting normally. You think you only said a few harmless sentences. You think a forgotten promise is not a big deal. But to others, each of those small moments sends a very clear message about who you are, and they remember it longer than you think. Respect does not vanish in a dramatic moment. It is eroded little by little, subtly, silently, yet precisely. Like water dripping on a stone, until one day you realize your image has changed, without knowing when it began. Stoicism teaches us that to become a respectable person, you must observe yourself with absolute honesty. No embellishment, no excuses, no blame. Because all true change begins the moment you dare to look at the behaviors you don't even like in yourself. And today, we will do that. In a frank, gentle, but sharp manner. The following 5 habits, though small, silently break trust, blur your worth, and make you a person who is difficult to respect. The real question is not whether you have these habits, but whether you are willing to look straight at yourself to verify them. If you choose honesty, let's begin. Habit 1. Seeking control. Some people do not realize that the very need to control everything is making them tense, difficult to approach, and gradually causing them to lose the respect of others. Not because they want to impose on anyone, but because they fear uncertainty, afraid that everything will deviate from the path they desire. I used to be like that. In the smallest stories, I wanted to correct how others did things. In simple projects, I needed everything to go exactly my way. And in relationships, I expected others to react in the way I deemed correct. What I didn't see at the time were their eyes, the fatigue, the defensiveness. The distance silently grew whenever I tried to control what was not mine. That need for control brings another consequence: overreacting to small things. The moment someone did something slightly different, I immediately jumped in, correcting, giving unsolicited advice, or showing my displeasure. And looking back, I understand. Every time I overreacted, I didn't just lose my composure. I also lost the mature image I wanted to build. The Stoics view the situation from a different angle, not to control more, but to clearly understand what is truly within their reach. Epictetus said that suffering begins when we try to grasp what is uncontrollable. We cannot control others. We cannot force the world to operate according to our will. But we can control our own reactions. From the perspective of others, a person who tries to control everything does not make them feel safe. On the contrary, they feel pressured. They feel cautious. And gradually, respect turns into avoidance. Respect does not come from the pressure you create, but from the composure you convey. People respect you when they feel safe in how you react. When you let go of the need to dictate everything your way, you give others the space to be themselves. And that is what makes them want to listen to you, want to be around you, and want to respect you more. Because sometimes, the thing that makes others look at you differently is not the power of decision you hold, but the tranquility you maintain in every choice you make. Habit 2. Gossiping. Gossip often starts with seemingly harmless words. A small comment, a piece of side information, or a detail that makes people laugh. But these very things that seem harmless actually say a lot about you. Because when you tell someone else's story in their absence, you are sending a message that you yourself don't realize. That you are willing to compromise trustworthiness in exchange for a few minutes of attention. I once made that mistake. A friend of mine confided a secret to me, her feelings for someone significantly older than her, and she wasn't sure if she should continue the relationship. It was not an easy thing to talk about, and certainly not something she wanted many people to know. Yet at the time, I thought it would be okay to tell my close circle of friends that it was just a funny, for your information kind of story. But then the story spread further than I thought, and eventually circled back to her. I still cannot forget the look in her eyes when she found out. No blame, no anger, just a quiet sadness. The kind of sadness that makes you understand that in that moment, you had lost something not easily regained. What a habitual gossiper doesn't realize is, the listener always remembers. Even if they don't say it out loud, they subconsciously wonder, if you dare to talk about someone else like that, will you say the same thing about me? And with just that thought, the foundation of respect is shaken. Stoic philosophy reminds us that words reflect the quality of one's inner character. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Let your words be worthy of the person you want to become." A joking remark does not make you smarter. A piece of gossip does not make you stronger. It only makes others see you as a person who cannot be trusted. People feel safe around those who know how to keep their mouths shut. And that safety is the foundation of respect. Gossip might bring laughter for a few seconds, but the price is your image in the eyes of others, something you sometimes only realize when it is too late. Let other people's stories be held securely in your respect, because the respect given to you always begins with how you respect the things others trust you with. Habit 3. Lack of reliability. Some people don't intentionally break promises. They just think one late appointment is okay. One time changing a schedule is not a big deal, and one forgotten promise is not worth anyone's attention. But over time, these very okay things become the reason why others no longer take their words seriously. I understand this very well, because I used to be the person who disappointed friends repeatedly. Once, I promised to help a friend move house over the weekend, but that morning I made an excuse about urgent work and said to do it another day. She didn't say much, just texted back, "It's okay, we'll do it ourselves." Another time, we planned to go out to eat after months of not seeing each other. I confirmed I would be there. I was even the one who suggested the restaurant. Yet at the last minute, I texted that I was tired and had to cancel. She replied very quickly, "Okay, take care." But behind that quickness was a sense of letdown that I could clearly feel. Then came her birthday. I had promised to be there, that I would definitely attend. But that day, I was once again caught up in my own matters and thought it would be okay to apologize later. I texted nearly an hour after the party had begun. She still replied politely, but this time was different. The familiar warmth was gone. The eagerness to share new stories was gone. Only a silent distance remained, the kind of distance you can feel even when no one speaks it out loud. I didn't just miss the party. I missed many opportunities to prove that my words were trustworthy. And by letting so many opportunities slip by, she quietly withdrew her trust in me. In the world of adults, trustworthiness is not found in flowery words. It lies in whether you genuinely follow through on what you say. The Stoics view integrity as the foundation of character. When you break a promise, you send a silent message that others cannot rely on you. And even if they don't say it, they remember it for a very long time. At some point, they will no longer entrust you with important things, not because they hate you, but because they no longer dare to believe. Respect is built by small actions repeated many times, by being on time, by keeping your promises, by saying what you are certain you can do and doing what you have said. No one demands you to be perfect, but everyone expects you to be consistent. Because when your words have weight, you yourself will weigh the eyes of others. Habit 4. Interrupting others. Interrupting is one of the most common habits that many people fall into, not just at work, but in every daily conversation. In the family, it makes loved ones feel like their words are unimportant. In friendship, it creates distance. In romantic relationships, it makes the partner gradually withdraw. And in the work environment, it undermines respect and cooperation. Many people don't realize it. They think they are just adding to, clarifying, or helping speed things up. But to the listener, a small interruption can make them feel minimized, that their voice is not valuable enough to be listened to completely. I once worked with a colleague like that. His name was Mark. He was smart, quick-witted, and had more experience than most people in the room. But precisely because he was faster, Mark was always the one to interrupt others before they finished a thought. If someone spoke a little slowly, he jumped in. If an idea was unclear, he seized it and helped finish the thought. Even when the boss directly asked another team member, Mark still answered on their behalf. At first, people thought he was just enthusiastic, but as time went on, the atmosphere in the meeting room gradually became heavy whenever he spoke. People hesitated to speak up, hesitated to share ideas, hesitated to offer opinions because no matter what they said, Mark would interrupt and revise it his way. He never realized that his habit of interrupting was causing everyone to slowly pull away and no longer wanted to talk to him. In reality, this doesn't just happen in a meeting. It happens at the dinner table when someone is telling a story and gets cut off. It happens among friends when someone is constantly losing their turn to speak. It happens in a relationship when you haven't finished your sentence before your partner rushes to conclude for you. The Stoics view listening as a form of mental discipline. You cannot listen when your mind is preparing to react. You cannot understand when you are only waiting for your turn to speak. And you cannot respect someone when you believe your words are more important than theirs. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "No one can learn anything unless they are willing to keep quiet." Interrupting doesn't just irritate others, it makes them feel unvalued. It makes them withdraw. It makes them not want to share with you anymore, whether in a meeting or in your own home. To become a person who is listened to, you must be a person who knows how to listen first. To be respected, you must give others the space to finish their sentences, even if they speak slower, longer, or less perfectly than you expect. Respect is not only found in the boardroom. It begins in very small moments, in every conversation where you choose to listen instead of interrupting. Habit 5. Complaining constantly. Constant complaining is one of the habits that makes others distance themselves from you the fastest. Not because you are a bad person, but because your energy exhausts them. There is a person in my friend group whom everyone likes, except for one single point. She always complains. Complaints about work, complaints about her boyfriend, complaints about the weather, the deadlines, life, and even things so small that no one else would think about. At first, everyone tried to listen, then tried to console, then sought advice. But gradually, gatherings turned into her own personal venting space. As soon as someone asked, "How have you been lately?" the atmosphere of the meeting immediately changed. I remember one time the whole group was sitting at a cafe, sharing a few small fun stories after a long week. The atmosphere was very light. Then she arrived, and in just a few minutes, everything shifted. "To be honest, I'm so fed up with this job. I don't understand why I always get the short end of the stick. I feel like everyone else is luckier than me." No one said anything, but you could clearly feel the energy drop at the table. One person suddenly checked their phone. Another looked down and stirred their drink. Someone else glanced at their watch as if waiting for the moment to leave. The crucial point is, she is not a bad person. She just doesn't realize that her energy is exhausting everyone. Complaining doesn't solve problems, it only amplifies them. And when you repeat it enough, others no longer want to be around you. The Stoic does not view complaining as sinful. They simply understand that complaining drags the mind far away from what we can control. Instead of asking, "Why me?" they ask, "What can I do about this?" And that very question separates them from the negative spiral. No one expects you to be positive all the time. No one forces you to be strong every moment. But when you complain constantly, you are no longer the person they want to share with. You become the person they have to avoid to protect their own energy. Respect always accompanies comfort. People respect those who make them feel lighthearted, not those who force them to constantly brace themselves for endurance. Complaining about everything doesn't make you better off. It only makes the person facing you feel worse. Respect is born from the peace you carry, not from the burdens you unintentionally place on the shoulders of others. And when you look back at all 5 of these habits, you will notice a common theme. They are just small actions repeated every day, small enough for us to overlook, but powerful enough to change the way others see us. Respect never vanishes suddenly. It leaves in silence. Through every reaction you don't control, every word carelessly spoken, every missed promise, every moment you interrupt someone, and even the energy you carry when you walk into a conversation. And the most beautiful thing is, if those silent habits can take away the respect people have for you, then the opposite small actions can also bring it back. You can start with very simple things, being calmer for 1 beat before reacting, keeping a promise 1 more time, even if it's just a small appointment, listening fully to a story without interrupting, or choosing silence instead of letting complaints make the atmosphere heavier. Small things like these create a presence that others feel comfortable with, and from that comfort, respect begins to blossom. Stoicism does not demand that you become perfect. It only reminds you to live more mindfully every day, mindful enough to see what you are doing, what you are sending out, and who you are becoming. That is a silent maturity, but one that is more enduring than any effort to show off. If anything in this video resonated with you, share your thoughts below. Perhaps your story will become a source of motivation for someone else who needs it. And if you find these values worth spreading, don't forget to like and share the video. You can also subscribe to the channel to continue the journey with me to build composure, resilience, and a truly strong inner character. Stoic Journey is always here, accompanying you. See you in the next videos.